The Nuggets trade Michael Porter Jr. During the playoffs last year when they got knocked out, I said they may have to trade Michael Porter Jr.
Given the fact that most people picked them either to repeat or to make the NBA Finals, getting knocked out in the second round means you have to address some issues in the offseason. So what do they need specifically? I think they need depth, and that's why I think they might have to trade Michael Porter.
Their issues started when they lost Bruce Brown and Jeff Green last offseason, and it got even worse when they lost KCP this offseason. Yes, they tried to bring in Reggie Jackson to replace Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, but it wasn't enough. Michael Porter Jr. has always kind of been the odd man out because you're obviously not trading Jokic, and Jamal Murray and Jokic two-man game, that is like unguardable. And Jamal Murray obviously is a very good point guard, like you're not trading him. What Aaron Gordon brings to this team, it's really hard to find elsewhere, so you're definitely not moving him either. As you saw in that clip, I said back then, Michael Porter Jr. probably should be traded for depth because that is the one thing they are lacking. According to Mark Stein, that's exactly what they were going to do. So I was on the money with this like 6 months ago because it just makes sense. They have the quote-unquote star power right now and it's not working for them. And the benefit of Michael Porter Jr. is actually that he's just entering his prime technically because he's only like 25, 26, and he obviously has improved every year he's been in the league. Does he have the value of a Luka from his draft class and stuff like that? No, but he still is a valuable enough player that you could get two guys, maybe a starter and one off the bench, in return for him who could add value to the team. Now here's where I think it could get interesting. Kyle Kuzma is reportedly on the trading block. Supposedly the Wizards want to get a deal done like very, very soon. And Kyle Kuzma, I know it's been a while and people forget, but like he was a very important part of that Lakers championship team. He is an NBA champion, and he played very, very good defense on that team as well, and obviously he was good offensively, but like, he was an integral part of that Lakers championship, and he's still in his prime. He's still like 29, so there's no reason as to why he can't help the Denver Nuggets, and the Wizards are clearly sellers, right? Like, they are in full-on rebuild mode, so I don't know how many players they have left that they could trade. They're not necessarily young guys, but maybe you can get Kyle Kuzma and somebody else off their roster. Financially, I don't think, and I don't know how this would work, but what if you could somehow get Kyle Kuzma and Jonas Valanciunas? That would be nice because Kyle Kuzma can start in place of Michael Porter Jr., and then you get Valanciunas coming off the bench, who is a very good center, and he obviously can start on multiple teams. And one of the issues that Denver has is when Jokic is off the floor, they just get beat. Like, all the statistics say it, they need Jokic on the floor for every way, offensively and defensively. Even though Jokic is not like the best defender in the league, he still makes their defense better. So if you could have Valanciunas come in to replace Jokic, you know that the on-off court plus minus or whatever would be way better because Valanciunas can do a lot of things well. So if I'm Denver, that is actually a very attractive trade. And the reason that the Wizards would consider this is Michael Porter Jr., like I said, is still entering his prime. He is younger than Kyle Kuzma. He is still, trending upwards right now. The only problem that the Wizards may not like is, of course, Michael Porter Jr.'s contract. Because his contract, I believe, is even larger than Kyle Kuzma's, and it's still a lengthy contract. But again, Michael Porter Jr. may be more valuable for the Wizards or to the Wizards than they think Kyle Kuzma is at this point for themselves. You may want to talk to the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't think they're sellers. I think despite what people think, they are going to stick with what they have. Besides Brandon Ingram being on the trading block, supposedly, we don't know what's going to happen. But like, in order to get Brandon Ingram, I feel like his value is higher than Michael Porter Jr.'s. And that's not going to work if you're trying to contend. Like, you're going to have to give up more to get Brandon Ingram. And I don't think he solves the problems if you're not adding depth with Brandon Ingram. Sure, the Chicago Bulls are sellers, but Zach LaVine, again, is that really going to solve their problems? I don't know, because I don't know what Chicago also has to offer you to go off the bench, because they are also starting their rebuild, right? So they have Io, they're not going to trade. They have Kobe White, they're not going to trade him. Patrick Williams, I mean, I guess they could trade him, but I don't think Patrick Williams is the solution, right? And they just traded for Josh Giddey. Like, all the young guys are pretty much who they want to keep. So their big contracts, Zach LaVine and Vucevic, are really what they're trying to offer. And you can't do a deal with Zach LaVine and Vucevic. Like, there's no way the money works. It would have to be one or the other. Vucevic is not a bad option either, honestly. Like, offensively, he's actually having like a career year, numbers-wise and everything. And we know that he's a pretty good center. But I don't know that he, again, solves the issue. Because then it's kind of like going back to when it was Nurkic and Jokic. I know it's different now, but like, in a way, I feel like you're just replaying that out. And that obviously didn't lead to a championship. Like, you're going to have to replace Michael Porter Jr.'s, scoring and his position as a starter in some way. Like, you can't trade him and not get a starter back for him. The starter could be like, I know they lost KCP, but it could be KCP's level. It doesn't have to necessarily be like a Michael Porter Jr. back, but it definitely has to be someone who can start. Like, you can't start Vucevic and Jokic together. That just doesn't make sense. I think Denver is going to have a lot of conversations come trade deadline, but the Wizards may actually be a really interesting one for them.